Hey, what's going on, guys? The Langbanger here. So I have a new profile, and it is an update to Gladiator Beast. So if I were to think just, off the top of my head, I would say that Gladiator Beasts are probably a top 5 deck favorite of mine all time. Definitely top 10. I don't have that full list or anything, but it's just a really cool deck. It does something that a lot of decks cannot. It's tagging in, tagging out, effects going off, and it's just really cool. And for the last couple of years, this deck was hindered by the rolls, and now it can drop multiple fusions again with no worries. So there was a card in Eternity Code that I think makes this deck a whole lot better. So I will say, it's kind of like with any deck, but, it's very suspect to losing the hand traps. And then also it has the issue of, well, if you do have to go first, then really what can you end on without like negging yourself too much. So this is a going second. I'm not trying to OTK, but I'm more so just trying to break your board, and then I'm going to have a board that, now you have to go through. So enough talking. So you have 3 Rescue Rabbit, you have 3 GB Andal, you have 2 Augustus, you have 1 Vespicus, I guess, 1 Atorix, 1 Segatori, 1 Darius, 1 Bestiary, 1 Equest, and then you have 3 Test Tigers. So that may seem like a low monster count. Really it is. Whether or not you even want to count the Tigers. I'm going second, and you would think like add some hand traps, that way you can kind of live, but there's actually a lot of stuff in this deck to let you fight back, and I'll kind of go into that in detail. So probably 2 Gladiator Beasts that you would see that's missing here. Not to say it's staple, but Murmillo is missing, Laquari is missing. So both of those certainly used to be very good back in the day, but Laquari now just going into 2100 beater, that's really whatever. Unless you're going to have a bunch of traps, but then even at that, if you don't go first, then really that means nothing. And then for Murmillo, there's a lot of effects that just negate monster destruction, so I don't really think that card is that good. If you guys want to add that, that's fine. Laquari actually does have another use, and I'm going to go into it in a minute, so if you guys did want to add that, but it matters, but it kind of doesn't matter, and I'll explain here in a second. So you have 3 Gladiator Rejection. I think this card is fantastic. So it's not a new card or anything, but essentially your opponent cannot target Gladiator Beast monsters. You control what card effects, except during the battle phase. So essentially, if you get multiple GBs on the board and you start fusing, they're not doing anything to your card. So that's why I think that this is a mandatory 3-of. And then also if a GB monster is special summoned from the main deck, you can special summon 1 Gladiator Beast monster from your deck with a different type. So it just gives you more material. So I forget how far back that even was, 6 months, maybe a year. If you wanted to fusion summon, you had to put it in the main extra deck zone, and then if you wanted to use the below zones, then you had to have that unlocked with link monsters, so you no longer have to do that. So you have 3 comeback, nothing crazy there. Unexpected die, you have 3 of those. You have 3 Called by the Grave. That card is just, absolutely need it. And 1 second, there's actually another card like I wanted to show here. Sorry, dropped my deck box. I was thinking of my ratios, and I was thinking like 3 Called by the Grave, probably the best, because it's gonna negate all monster hand traps, but then also you can use this to manipulate your opponent's grave. I was thinking of using Serratus, so this is not a part of the deck, but if you read this, if your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a monster, you can negate it. So the reason that matters is that card actually hits impermanence, Called by the Grave does not. So I just wanted to throw out there, just as an FYI, it's not like a big secret or anything, but if you did want to end up using that, most people probably look past that because it's a blue card, it's a ritual, but that kind of doesn't matter. So here's the card that I'm talking about. the whole reason I decided to revamp this. So you have fusion deployment. So reveal one fusion monster in your extra deck and special summon one monster from your hand or deck. Or I totally butchered that, sorry. Reveal one fusion monster in the extra deck and special summon from your hand or deck one of the fusion materials whose name is specifically listed on that card, and you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters for the rest of the turn. So this card's really cool because it can grab you Bestiary, it can grab you Augustus, it could grab you Laquari. So there's just a lot of options there, and you would think like, you're only limited to fusions. Well, really, if you think about it, like, let's be honest, this deck really can only fusion summon. Sure, you can go in the links, but you know, it's just not the same compared to other decks. So that's why I think that that's well worth it. So you have 2 Dark Roller No More. So even though you have rejection to, you know, stop your opponent from playing cards, you know, if they do have something on the board that can maybe hinder you, or you don't have the rejection, you also have this. So granted, yeah, you're not going to get damage in or anything, but still, the purpose of this is to bust a board and then set up your negations. And then I have 1 United, I have 1 Reborn, 1 Mind Control, and 1 Instant Fusion. Those are the spells. I was iffy on these traps, but you know, 1 of each, 1 Ward Chariot, 1 Charge. To be able to negate a monster effect and to be able to pop cards, that's really cool. You do have E-Quest to kind of bring these back. I really don't know if this is worth it or not. That could be up to you if you want to cut those for maybe hand traps or something. Totally your call. As for the extra deck, so I opted to use 2 Geyseris. I don't know if this is mandatory, but kind of what I'm thinking is, you know, with fusion deployment, right, we can reveal this, summon Bestiary. But then also, let's say we go into a Geyseris and it gets killed, you have another way to, you know, reveal again, because, you know, the Geyseris is in your grave or, you know, removed from play or something like that. So that's why I figure I would go with 2. May not be mandatory, but I would just hate to get that card shut off for the rest of the game. You have 1 Andabata. Really, I just have this in here because of the name specifically listed. It can summon Augustus. So let's say, you know, that you open up, you know, all your other copies. I'm only using 1 Bestiary, right? So it's like if I open that Bestiary, then, you know, that's kind of unfortunate. Then you have 1 Tamer Editor, you have 1 Heraclinus, you have 1 Esidari, you have 1 Domitinanius, I guess. I probably butchered that. So this card may seem weird, but I kind of just thought that, you know, some materials maybe you need for, you know, a fusion that you have like on the field. Maybe you have a card in your hand to like summon it or something, or maybe just getting those Andals back in. I don't know. I'm not saying that's needed, but I don't know. I just like to have that range there. And then you have Thousand Eyes Restrict. As for the links, you have 2 Panther, you have 1 Dragassus, you have 1 Crush Sheep, you have 1 Phoenix, 1 Borreload, and 1 Link Spider. I don't know, I guess that Borreload could be maybe a flex spot. I mean, if you wanted to go with maybe Avramax, I mean, if you own Appaloosa, right? But again, it's like with this sort of deck, you're not really amounting like a ton of like board presence, I guess. I mean, you can drop multiple fusions, but then it's like, are you going to use multiple fusions to go into a higher link? It's kind of tough and debatable. So GBs are just in one of those weird spots, and I just think that, you know, they fusion summon maybe better than, you know, any deck out there. Definitely the most of them. So I just figure, why not just focus on what it does best? So I don't know. Debatable build, I guess, but, you know, this is just a prototype. I just want to see what you guys think. Leave comments down below. Let me know, you know, what sort of build you're using, what kind of changes you would make, and then maybe I'll make a update down the line. So thanks again, guys, and have a good day. Peace.